Good morning and welcome to Concur Expense Training. This is the new expense reporting system we're going to be using, and I will just use this video as a real quick training guide for you if you can't make any of the Blue Jeans meetings that we'll have later this week. So to start with Concur, I want to highlight two mobile apps that's going to make your life a lot easier. The first one is the Expense It mobile app. And in conjunction with this, you'll need the actual Concur mobile app, and you can go to any app store, go in there, and the two you're going to download are Concur and Expense It. And with the Concur app, you can do all your expense reporting right on the phone. And with the Expense It app, that's where you take pictures of your receipts. And what's really nice about the Expense It app is that it takes the picture of your receipt, analyzes it, throws in the total due, the vendor, and the date, so you don't need to enter in any of that manually. With the Concur app, you can also take pictures of receipts, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And you can also manually fill in all those things for the receipt on the Concur app. It just takes a little more time, but it essentially does the same thing. So just play around with the two apps and figure out which you like better. But this is what it looks like. You download the receipt, it goes up into Concur, and you'll need to log in as well. So that's the icon you'll be looking for in the App Store. It's pretty intuitive, so you will be able to figure it out. Once you have those two apps downloaded and you've uploaded a few receipts, you'll need to go on desktop out to the Concur website, and you'll just need to do desktop for the first time. But you go in, and your sign-in name is going to be your Kurt Group email. And then the password I set for you the first time will be welcome, all lowercase. Once you log in, it will prompt you then to set a new password. So I'll log in here. And you'll come to this main screen. And this first part of the training will be expense training. So if you go to the expense tab, this is where you will see all your available expenses and also any available receipts you have. Since I do not do much travel, being in accounting, we will use someone else's profile for this tutorial, and that'll be Patrick Kripe. So logging in as Patrick, you'll see he has 3 available expenses, and the first thing I want to highlight is this little credit card icon. Yours will be orange because you have a BMO credit card, but for Visa it's pink, and this shows that it is from the credit card feed. Every transaction you have on your credit card is going to come through on Concur, so it's going to make expense reporting really easy for you, and you'll see everything that's gone through the card. It's very important to wait until this credit card icon comes through. So typically there's a 4 to 5 day lag time from when you charge the card to when it comes into Concur. Just wait until you see that charge in Concur to put it onto an expense report. I know typically you had done expense reports for a week, say the week of 11/20 to 11/24, something like that. With Concur, we know there's a lag time, so just pick a day every week to do your expense reporting and do it for all of the expenses that are available to you. So don't get hung up on the date range, just do whatever expenses you are able. And in here also you'll see this little blue icon, and those are the actual pictures of the receipts. And this means that he uploaded it with Expense It, that app I had mentioned before. And why this is really nice is it comes in here, and first it is a standalone expense right here, but once the credit card transaction comes through, it actually matches the amount, the date, and the vendor, and auto attaches that receipt to the expense. So this is all done for you already at the click of a button, so it's pretty nice. If you use the Concur app and just take a picture of the receipt and upload it, that will appear here if you save image. If you click expense when you take a picture of the receipt, it will also come up here. You just have to manually fill out all of these items, and then that too will auto attach. So just again, play around with it, see what you like the best. So now that we have our expenses in here, I'm going to go up to create new report, and this is where we begin filling out our expense report. So the report name, again, date isn't as important anymore, so I'm just going to put the date that I'm doing the report. Report date, same idea. And then company, location, and cost center. These are auto-filled based on the cost center you're located in according to human resources. So if this looks incorrect, please let myself or Lori Grant know. And you hit next. And then this will put you in a report. You'll see that it's empty and you have all your available expenses here. So if I wanted to start with Speedway, I can click on the Speedway expense, and you can do multiple, as many as you want. But I'll start with Speedway and I'll move it to current report. And now we'll see it's in here. And Expenseit does try to auto categorize the expense, but it doesn't do a great job, so always be sure to manually change the expense type. And when you go in here, you'll see there's two kinds. There's GEN and MFG. MFG is only for manufacturing employees. Everybody else is under this general account. So you'll see the expenses are essentially duplicated. Use general. Unless you're in manufacturing cost center, then you'll use manufacturing. So since Patrick Kripe is in sales, he's in general, and this Speedway looks like it's a fuel expense. So you can go in here and see every type of expense imaginable. I know this is a travel expense, and right there, GEN fuel. So I now have it correctly categorized. Transaction date, vendor name, those autofill based on the credit card transaction. And here you can put whatever the business purpose is. Gas to meeting. City of purchase is something you have to fill out wherever it was purchased. We'll say it was Chicago, I don't really know. Payment type will auto to the corporate card if it has this icon here. If it doesn't have an icon, we're assuming the payment type is cash, whether it's your personal card or cash. And you will get reimbursed for that on the next week. Amount, that again comes from the credit card feed. You can click here if it's a personal expense. For example, if you accidentally put something on the company card. And then any comments you have with the expense. And then receipt image, I can see here it uploaded from Concur. So that all looks good. I'm going to hit save. And this is now good on my expense report. And then if I want to add more of those expenses we'd seen before, you go up to Import Expenses, and this will give us all of our available options again. So if I were to add this delta on, you'll see we have a couple new icons. First, you have to define the expense type like we talked about. So I'll go to General. This is a flight expense. City of purchase again. Flight will require you to do departure airport and arrival airport. And then you'll notice this little yellow icon, receipt image required. We need a receipt attached to the expense type, or it will not physically allow you to submit the report. So you can do that with the Expenseit. Down here you can also attach receipt from your desktop or from those available receipts uploaded with the Concur app. And then finally, if you really do not have the receipt, you can go up to Receipts, and you'll have an option for Missing Receipt Affidavit up here. But only use that if there's no possible way to get that receipt again. Since I don't have the receipt for this yet, I'm just going to delete. And what this does is it deletes it off the expense report, not from the profile. So if we go back to Import Expenses, we'll see that it's back in here. Finally, if we want to add an expense that we need to get reimbursed for that isn't attached to a credit card, you go up to New Expense, and this is where you could add, let's say, a lodging expense, and then you need to enter in everything. So we'll say it was on 11/16, business purpose, trip, city purchase, payment type defaults to cash, so you will get reimbursed for this. We'll say it's $300, and then we'll hit save. And I'll need to attach a receipt. And one other thing I wanted to show you was, you'll see there's an option to itemize down here. So if we go into itemize, it's going to add a new itemization. So let's say part of this lodging was meal at the hotel. We just go into here, go to meals and entertainment, and then we fill out everything as usual. So let's say $40 of this bill was meals and entertainment. And you'll see an attendees option popped up here. This is where you can add anyone who is at the meal. It auto-fills in your name because it assumes that you were at the meal. And then you can add a new attendee if it's somebody not in our system yet, and this adds them to the system. If you've already added the attendee before, or if it's a employee, you can go to Advanced Search. And this is where you can search for business guest, employee, whoever else might be in the system. So after you add them all, you'll hit save. And we'll notice a new itemization pops up here. Now we have a new warning sign, and it's the itemization amount does not add up to the expense amount. So we need to then itemize the other part of this lodging, which was the lodging piece, for the remaining amount. So this will pop up. We go to General Lodging, and then we'll do the remaining $260. Hit Save, and now we'll notice the warning goes away, and under this $300 there is an itemization for $40 and $260. Once I'm done with everything, I would hit Submit Report, and that will go out to my supervisor and then on through the accounting process. There will be an option to recall report if you ever did something wrong and wanted to grab it before your supervisor sees it. The only other thing I wanted to show you was the mileage expense. So if you go into New Expense, Personal Car Mileage, here you will have an option to add personal car mileage, and there's actually a mileage calculator where you can put your to and from location, and once you do that, it'll autofill the distance and the amount you will be reimbursed. So that's for if you're ever driving a personal car. And then if you decide, I actually don't want this report, you can actually hit Delete Report, and it'll pop those expenses back down in here. So that's pretty much it for the expense reporting side. It's pretty intuitive, so just play around with it, but again, feel free to call either myself or Lori Grant if you ever have any questions with this. The next video will touch on the Travel Blue Ribbon, which is the all-inclusive travel app that meshes perfectly with Concur. Thanks a lot. Hope you're having a great day.